introduction, Chris. It's like I wrote it myself. And thank you, Jason, also the two of you, for keeping Velvet Revolution alive. I love this thing that you guys do here. I was here when it started in 2003, and it was one of the things that, I don't know, I think it's just great to have a place to begin, and this is perfect for it. So thanks for having me tonight, and thanks all of you for coming out, especially Fred, who came all the way from the East Bay.
All the way.
My oldest.
I swam.
So I'm going to read you some old poems, and I'm going to read you some brand new poems. Some of you know, those who know me, and actually it's great that there's a lot of new faces that don't know me. I've been working on a project for 4 or 5 years called Survival Poems. The name might change. All of them have titles appropriated from the Worst Case Scenario Survival Handbook, so you'll hear some of those. This first one is called How to Survive Adrift at Sea, and it's online in 1111. There are handprints all over your weekends, windows thrown wide to the night. The curve of loneliness renders strange fingers brushing your bare shoulder. You concoct an elixir of fire. Goldfish swim below the surface of sleep, unfurling the lantern sea until you can't stop dreaming the wet of it. You savor the sensation of drowning instead of writing. An impossible crush unfastens, something that was neatly folded. Paper-thin panties hit the floor, dissolve into mint ice cream, the fragrance of another Wednesday night. But desire is never permanent, and something new inflates your lungs, vacating old beliefs. In the nick of time, in the nick of bone, in the bed of another lesson, in the unspoken, miles are traveled, and with these scissors, you can mend the holes. This is How to Land a Plane, and I actually read it at a quiet listening a while back. It's the small things that hold us, handcuffs and leftover puzzle pieces, names like fences that keep us home. Always the stories are about freedom, how to disentangle, how to unglue. You are a kite on a frayed string. You are breakfast every morning. You are the voice of your mother quietly unscrewing the light bulb. You are the dog barking at strangers and skateboards. The city still beats at the heart of you. But the music of longing is melancholy. How can this grasping gesture reconcile the notion of impermanence? The door is open, and you can see the bright invitation of sun and sky. You are drawn to motion like leaves unwinding the wind. Eventually, you will land somewhere. This is How to Fend Off a Shark, and it's in the old version of Parthenon West review. Wet fist in your eyes, the thump of undrumming, a figure in your peripheral vision. Here is the rind of night, facing off on a rock of ice, nightgown whipping, ragged around your thighs. Because silence is an expression of fear. Unwave that flag, unsmoke that cigarette, unfuck that friend. These desperate little fistfuls of defiance. This jazz song does not belong to you. Warm, the sensation of sleep, threadbare, the quality of wishing. Because police are at the door again. This wrecking ball in your bedroom, this fresh fountain of silver in your hair. Blue, the function of smoke. Rumpled, the flavor of resistance. There are things that vanish unexpectedly. The stone talisman you carried for luck. Photographs burned in a fire. Bewildered, the pillow of regret. Because our experiences overlap, bodies at rest, hoarding dreams like stolen rainwater. This is How to Climb Out of a Well. If the jug breaks, it brings misfortune. You are the distant pebble, echoing. Ignore the ripe, wet pain. Spring up like light, lubricating. Remember the electricity of boys, muscular and savage, this itch of bones. Distant circle of white, the sky, another lifetime, a fleeting after-image, this empty grasp. He who throws himself away is no longer sought by others. Go ahead, drink the poison. You are ancient here. This is the one Ded Cow poem. How to escape when tied up. I think One Ded Cow only had one issue, and the cover was garishly bright, and I was in it. I was in it, and this was the poem. How to escape when tied up. No one can know your unpronounceable name. Raw skin and chapped hands measure the power of invisibility. This is your country now. Tapestry of lost ambitions, pale as dust on the surface of someone else's bed. Turn your eyes upward to let shadows crawl across ceiling cracks, the soft accents of bondage. There's something about the texture of this burlap landscape, its loose weave lets in rain, and the rough hands of men. Okay, so I'm going to read you some non-survival poems. And some of you will be shocked by this. This semester, I've been taking the Poetics of Indeterminacy, and it's awesome that none of the people in that class are here tonight. So I've been, not because I don't love them, but because they've already heard some of these. And the class, we've been studying like a couple of different poets each week, and then there's been an assignment where you write a poem that sort of grows out of that poet's style. So I just abandoned the survival poems for a little while. I needed a break from it, I think. It's been going on for so many years. And so this has been a really fun opportunity for me to write stuff not in the second person and in the style of other poets. So this is after Lynn Haginian, and it's called Perception. The repetition was in the pause, a poetics of bed sheets and wind. We let the day take us up the hill where goats surprise the landscape. There is music in small silences. He remembered the clutter of books, splayed open like broken birds. Clouds, therefore memory. Because some of the tests were positive, which was negative. These were the days when she got down on her knees. Meeting chocolate cake, she writes horses instead. Trying to feel a little exposed, like something newly born. Birthday candles, a rain-washed postcard. We practice making tiny circles. The repetition is in the pause. Suggestion of snow-flavored empathy, salt, therefore memory. It changes the way we perceive the sea. We keep circling back to check. This one is for our very own Maxine Chernoff. She read at Saturday Night Special, not this last one, but the one before, and she's a personal hero of mine and our department chair. And one of her recent books, all of the poems begin with without. So our theme at Saturday Night Special was to write a poem in her style using the word without, and this is the one I wrote for her, Without Escape. Abandoned, the tongue forfeits meaning, the right to name in hindsight, hands like souvenirs grinding teeth, a rumbling departure of misplaced breath, distracted by silence, a gunsmoke heart in feather shackles, unfurling broken words to stain your slow surrender. All right, got a couple more for you. This one is after Frank O'Hara, and I have to dedicate it to my boyfriend because it's sort of a love poem. It's called Saturday. In my dream, you are polished by the furs of countless bears. But by 10:30, you are wearing your favorite t-shirt as we stroll through the IKEA showroom, attracted and repelled by the smell of Swedish meatballs. Oh, shag carpet, oh, lampshades, oh, reclining chair. We imagine cooking and fucking in the model kitchens on the Formica counters, ignoring the track lighting, the tourists pointing. We buy shelves instead of curtains and eat cheap hot dogs in a ravenous frenzy, like Victoria's Secret models mauling a chicken pot pie after a photo shoot. We go to a matinee at the Bay Street 16 and drink Cokes and eat red vines. You don't really like holding hands, But it doesn't matter, because you are mine, and we are laughing. I'm gonna read just one more. And this is, it's another survival poem, but it's my newest poem. And it's it's based on a somatic exercise by C.A. Conrad. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with C.A. Conrad and his crazy exercises, but they're posted online, and if you've never read them, they're so much fun. They are sort of really rooted in the body and in a crazy ritual. And in this particular one, you are supposed to be on a walk, and you were to imagine that while you were walking, it would suddenly start raining in the liquid of your choosing. And then you were supposed to imagine like whether the people on the streets would react in a positive or a negative way to this rain of this liquid. And then, like, after the sort of long, detailed process, you were to write not so much about that, but about food. And then you were to sleep on it, and I don't know, it was involved, but that's what this is based on. And it's called How to Open a Coconut on a Desert Island. You tell me if you can figure out what the liquid is. Oh, here's where she goes ahead. How to open a coconut on a desert island. Here is the pulse of pain, the folding knife, the rancid pit. Your background of cupped hands, open to hope, this desert in your teeth, staining the inevitable wetness. A sweating sky oozes sticky from clouds, loosens this vodka thirst. You long for some sabotage, some salt and pepper, peanut butter to repel and beguile. But streets run dry with chapped tongues, floating, forming a froth, unfurling a mouthful of fake alcoholic rain to wash clean the homeless, soak and sterilize. What hors d'oeuvres and who serves our hallucination? Intermission, tidal wave, king of the flood, bristle of brawn, full of lacunas and loose ends. Imagine now the hungry, describe his indigestion. Imbibe, saturate, gurgle, stir, jump, plunge. Let the water deepen you. To starve is to withhold. This too is power.